Thank you for joining us live with Miami's Community News, and I'm Michael Miller. Our guest is James Richard from the Miami-Dade Solid Waste Department. Welcome, and thanks for being here.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So one of the things that homeowners and businesses always wonder about, hey, I got some chemicals left over. I got some paint. I got some poison. I got, some kerosene. Do people still use that? I got all this stuff around the house. What do I do with it? So tell us.
No, well, we have 2 home chemical collection centers that will take those products off your hands. I mean, we accept used oil, old gasoline, paint, pesticides, herbicides, pool chemicals. If you have an old thermostat with a mercury component in it, we'll take those too. Old electronics. There's a wide variety of products that we'll accept from Miami-Dade County residents free of charge.
So 30 years ago, people would just take the oil and dump it in the ground.
Yeah.
All right. And if people want to know what that's like, all right, for the young people, it was common to do that.
Yeah.
And so nowadays, I think that in the backs and in the front of our minds, we've learned that we need to take better care of our environment with that. And so with there's the home chemical, all right, there's 2 places they can go. Where are those?
So one is located on 58th Street in Doral. The other is located in South Dade next to the South Dade landfill. And in the instance of used oil, we actually accept used oil at 5 of our trash and recycling centers. Now, those locations are only open to our customers, the customers we service, but that's another option for oil disposal within our service area.
James, sometimes people think, oh, they should put this stuff into the green carts outside their homes.
No.
Well, tell us why they shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, so contrary to some belief, our trucks are not airtight or watertight. And they have a compaction mechanism inside. So you can imagine if you have a bottle of oil or antifreeze or a can of paint, and it gets in the back of that truck, and that compaction takes place, it's going to squeeze all that liquid out, and it's going to seep onto the roads. In the instance of paint, it'll become an eyesore, and we've gotten calls before to come out and clean up paint, and it's not a fault of our drivers. It's just the fact that somebody put something they weren't supposed to into their green garbage cart. And
you're going to get caught.
Yeah. Well, for the most part, if it starts spilling in a certain location, we can kind of, trace it back there. But in any instance, when you have any of those hazardous materials, any chemicals in your green cart, and it ends up seeping from the truck, it ends up on the road. If, it's rainy season, or it's going to be rainy season soon, all that material is going to just wash off into the sewers, and that's not what we want.
So James, if somebody wanted to get some free paint, there's a place where you can go get that.
No, absolutely.
Tell us what that's like.
Yeah. So we actually have a program. It's called the Chem Again program. So if somebody brings whether it be paint or any sort of cleaner, some solvents, some Pine Sol or something like that to one of our centers, and it's in usable condition and there's a good amount of it left, we'll actually make that available for someone else to come and pick up and use in their home. In the instance of paint, what they do is they take all the paint and they mix it together, and it becomes sort of like a beige base coat, and that's available for pickup for free by any Miami-Dade County resident at either of our 2 home chemical collection center locations.
So when somebody would go to one of those centers, do you have them on display? How does that work? Or you say, hey, I'm looking for some bug poison. Oh, let me see what we have.
Right. So they're like cages. So they have like a caged shelving system where someone could just come up and take a look and see what's available. A lot of times they have them separated by type of products. So you'll have your cleaning products in one section. You'll have, your solvents. You'll have your herbicides or pesticides in another portion, and all that you have to do is bring your driver's license. You provide your zip code, because we just want to keep track of where these products are ending up, and it's just a matter of you signing something, and you take it home and use it.
James, what should people do with their propane, with their handheld propane tanks?
Yeah, well, we accept propane tanks as well. That's another thing you don't want to put in your green cart. Absolutely not. Any sort of pressurized tank, so that's oxygen tanks, propane tanks, even the helium tanks that you buy at the retail store to fill up balloons for a birthday party. If there's any sort of pressure in them, it could cause an explosion. We've had instances where drivers driving and that compaction in the back of the truck happens, and there's an explosion. It could damage the truck, injure someone, cause damage to other people's property.
It's like to scare our grandkids, we pop the balloon and that squeezy thing.
That's the exact same thing. So we accept those at our home chemical collection centers. A lot of times we really encourage people to just take those propane tanks back to the retailer and exchange it for a new tank. But if you don't have or if you don't want to exchange the tank, you can take it to our home chemical collection centers. We'll take it off your hands, and it's, again, a free service.
I was telling Frank, hello, Frank. or there you are, that I was cleaning out some sheds and I had this propane tank and there was plenty of gas in it, I could tell. So our guy does our property says, so you want this? Because I'm thinking, what am I going to do with this? I know I can't leave it out front. Yes. Oh, perfect. All right. So they would use it for whatever it was. But if on these home chemical, this is not where people should take their old refrigerators, their old stoves.
No.
Not the right place. What's the right place?
Right. So you could take those to one of our trash and recycling centers if you're one of our customers. Those, again, we have 13 locations in our service area, and those are free of charge. We have white goods disposal at the majority of those locations. Two of the smaller locations are not suited for drop off of those white goods. But you just always want to make sure, number one, you take the doors off of those fridges or those washing machines. The other thing you do is schedule a bulky waste pickup appointment, and you can put those items out on the curb for collection. But again, just remove the doors to make sure that it doesn't become a hide and seek location.
And call 311 before you put it out on the street.
Call 311, schedule your appointment before you put anything at the curb. Absolutely.
And again, with old computers, they can take that.
Yes. So used electronics, a lot of the components within electronic devices, they're made of heavy metals or certain things that aren't good for the environment. So you could take old computers, VCRs, televisions, you could dispose of them at our home chemical collection centers free of charge. You just pull up, drop them off, and they'll take them off your hands.
So lots of times we have these old batteries around the house, right? Whether it's for cars or trucks or big generators.
Yeah.
Had a couple of those laying around.
Yep.
What should people do with those?
Well, you should take those to the home chemical collection centers as well. So your lead acid batteries, which I think what you're referring to is, vehicle batteries, the batteries that are in your generators, your standby generators at home. Also those lithium ion batteries that are used in power tools. If you have no use for those, you take them to our home chemical collection centers. The typical standard batteries, AA, AAA, CD, those don't contain heavy metals anymore. So you can just throw those away with your household garbage. But, rechargeable batteries, button batteries, so the batteries that are in your key fob for your car, you want to make sure that you dispose of those properly and take them to a home chemical collection center.
So I have some of those tools you put the battery on. After a while, I kept buying more batteries, and then I was looking around for the tools. I couldn't find the tools. Found out my wife took away the tools.
Oh, wow.
So I wound up with a whole lot of batteries.
Well, and that's the case where you should, take it to our home chemical collection center rather than having it, sit around your garage or in your shed. And again, we'll take it off your hands free of charge.
So if somebody does minor repairs on their property and they had some old tar paper and old wood, what do they do with that?
So, those materials you could probably, they're categorized as C and D. So they're construction and demolition debris. You could take up to 3 cubic yards of that type of material to one of our trash and recycling centers if you're one of our customers and dispose of it. The other thing is, if you have up to 3 cubic yards of C&D, construction and demolition debris, you could schedule a bulky waste pickup appointment and put it out for collection that way as well.
So there's some people listening. What do you mean? What am I, a customer? What is a customer?
So a customer is someone who has a green cart and a blue cart with the Miami-Dade logo on the side of it.
If you have one of them.
Exactly. Now we don't service everyone in Miami-Dade County. There are some municipalities like the city of Miami, Homestead. There's who else? Hialeah. Those cities provide their own waste and recycling services for their residents. We service all of unincorporated Miami-Dade County. We serve municipalities like Doral, Aventura, Miami Gardens, Opelika. And so if you have, the easiest way to find out if you're one of our customers is look outside. And if you have a green waste cart and a blue recycling cart with the Miami-Dade logo on the side, you're one of our customers. You're eligible to go to one of our trash and recycling centers.
And if there are people like me who try to keep those green carts as long as they will possibly last and they're beat up, what should they do?
Well, we definitely want people to use the carts, as long as possible. Like you said, they get used a lot. Obviously, you're setting it out twice a week, the green carts, and once every 2 weeks for the recycling cart. We don't replace carts just for cosmetic damage. If it's dirty, we don't do that. We recommend people, use some detergent or soap, wash out your cart if there's odor or anything like that. But if it's damaged, you want to call 311 or go online to miamidade.gov/311 direct. You can request that your damaged cart be repaired, and if it can't be repaired, we'll replace it. We just want to make sure that the cart is in a condition that it could be, number one, wheeled out to the curb by the customer, and then number two, that it could be serviced by our trucks. So if there's a huge crack in the side and stuff is falling out of your cart, that's something that, we'll just go ahead and replace the cart for you. But if there's a wheel that has fallen off, we have spare parts. We'll come out and fix it.
And so if we have a problem with the cart, we're going to call 311.
Yes.
They can set a point. We're going to, I guess, obviously take the cart, put it out front, and then.
Yeah. So we want to have it in an accessible location.
Yeah.
We always tell people just put it at the curb because we don't want our staff to, walk on private property. So you leave it out there. The turnaround time's about 10 days. And, we get sometimes some people who live in HOAs and they're kind of sensitive to having carts out for a long period of time. We just ask customers to just notify their HOA that you have this open service request and that we're coming out to try to take care of an issue.
And those green carts, they can hold an extraordinary amount of stuff.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I've learned, if you jam the stuff in there because you're trying to get that thing tight, when that truck grabs it and they're banging it like this, right, it damages it.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it slows down the guy.
No, absolutely. And
Or
so, well, yeah, it's true. We have women and men driving our trucks. But the other thing is that if you jam a lot of material into your cart, there's a good chance that it'll get stuck in there. I mean, our automated side loading trucks, they have an automated arm that has to squeeze that cart to ensure that it could pick up whatever's inside.
So when people are not with the cardboard boxes, maybe they're not putting the blue and they put it in the green, and everybody's got tons of boxes at home with their offices. They try to jam it all in there, and it obviously stops stuff from getting through that.
No, absolutely. I mean, if you jam something in there and it's hard to push into the cart, it's going to be hard to come out. So we want everybody to make sure that the materials placed in there. In the case of recycling cardboard, you want to break it down, cut it up so that it fits loosely within the cart, so that when it's serviced, it'll just fall right out.
Before I knew the right way to do it, all right, it was a lot faster. Now, as I'm trying to rip the cardboard at where it's taped together at that crease, I'm going, there's James sitting up here, Frank sitting up there. Get it in there, but don't jam it in there.
No, absolutely. And I practice what I preach. I have a bin in my garage where I have all my Amazon boxes, all my cardboard. I keep it in there until I'm ready to cut it up. I take out my box cutter in my garage and I sit there and I cut up all the pieces and put it in my recycling cart. So I actually do take the time to make sure that everything fits nicely within my recycling.
When we try to recycle some of the stuff here at the office, in my phone, he's the cardboard man. All right. And he says, please have it all broken down.
Yeah.
All right. And I see the trucks, they got it laid out flat. All right. And it's a good feeling to be able to do that. But tell me about when boats are out and they have the flares and maybe some of your cars and they're laid out on the street. All right. They were hot at some point.
Right.
All right. So what do we do with those?
Yeah. So we actually have a limited time special disposal event during the month of May. And we're going to be accepting marine and road flares at our home chemical collection centers for the month of May. So the issue is we've gotten contacted by some members of the public. There's a requirement that boaters have usable unexpired flares on their vessels. It's for safety precautions and safety reasons. And so anyone who has expired flares that are not used, or if they have flares that aren't expired and they don't want to keep them on their vessel, they could take them to one of our home chemical collection centers during the month of May, and we'll dispose of them for you.
So how do people, other than that, how do people either properly or improperly dispose? What have they done in years past?
Well, in the years past, we've always referred people to the retailer where they purchased those flares. I believe there are some agencies that will accept them and some retailers that would accept them. But the issue for us initially, and why this is a special event, is because we have oil, gasoline, chemicals, propane tanks at our home chemical collection centers, and if we have incendiary devices that are being dropped off, we just want to make sure that there is a proper way for us to store the material, and then we have the proper partner to come and pick up those materials at the end of the day. And so this is, again, a limited time event, and we'll accept road flares too. So if you're a driver and you have a road flare in your trunk in case your car breaks down, you could take those to our home chemical collection centers as well through the month of May. And just an important point, it's only for residential disposal only. So if you have a charting company, you charter boats as a live, for a living, or you're a tow truck company and you have a bunch of road flares, you can't dispose of them at our home chemical collection centers. They're only for residential disposal. And so we're only doing it for people who have personal watercraft and people who have those flares in the back of their trunks on a personal basis.
So, and thanks for that. The next time out on a boat, I said, are those unexpired and dispose of them properly.
Right. Well, and they could have expired flares
Yes.
on their vessel. They just have to have unexpired
Yes.
flares or usable flares on board. So we want to give them an option to dispose of those expired flares.
So suppose somebody, they in their younger years, they like taking care of their yard. They have a weed eater. They've got the blower. They got the lawnmower, oil and gas and 2-cycle and all that stuff. And they said, I'm done. What do they do besides trying to give away their stuff?
Right.
if they want to throw it out, what do they do?
Right. So you could, of course, take it to one of our disposal sites. If you're one of our customers and you have that green and blue cart, you can take it to one of our trash and recycling centers. But the caveat is you want to make sure that there is no fluid in any of those devices. So if you have a lawnmower, you want to drain all the oil, you want to take out all the gasoline, and then you could take it to one of our disposal sites for disposal, because the same thing applies. If you take something that has gasoline, oil, any sort of fluids to one of our locations and you dispose of it, again, eventually that material will seep out, whether it's at a landfill or one of our disposal sites, and that's not what we want for the environment. So you want to just make sure that you drain all the fluids from any of those devices, and you could dispose of them at our disposal sites.
Or if you didn't want to do that, some people I've known have put it outside their house free.
Oh yeah, no,
and
absolutely.
Then instantly you go, wow.
Yeah. Reuse is one of the 3 R's. Reduce, reuse, recycle. So you reduce your consumption, you reuse items, and you could also recycle.
And let's talk about refuse. Go into the local store, drugstore, and you have 1 or 2 items. It took me a while to be able to tell them, and I don't want it back.
Right.
All right. And then the only reason I carry a receipt, sometimes I'll get the receipt, right, is so that I'll make it to the door without somebody, hey, you didn't pay for that, all right?
Yep.
And now those receipts are like this long, right? And it's become their sort of trademark. I guess it works, for them. So that's one of the things they've done. It doesn't seem like much, but 3 or 4 times a week, I would get the bags and we put them up in a thing over here. They would sit there for a while. And then you go, okay, now the whole closet is filled with them. And then you go, now what?
Yeah, no. I mean, you could definitely reuse them. I know I have a Labrador Retriever, and those plastic bags become pretty handy when you're out on a walk. You can use them that way. But if you don't want to, keep those plastic bags, at home or anything, you can take them back to the retailer. These big box stores, Walmart, Target, Publix, they have containers in the front. You could just drop them off and they'll recycle them.
This type of awareness is taking a long time where people have that thought ahead of time. We're going to return this. And when people started bringing their own bags to the grocery stores, and it was the green people, the hippies, whatever. What do you mean? You walk in with the cloth? Yeah. And it's like, wow. All right. That does change our habits, and it changes the whole generation behind us. Don't use this. Here's this bag. You're going to reuse it. All right. And plus they're strong. All right.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy can carry the whole thing,
Yeah.
six bags at one time, and maybe make it to the counter.
No,
maybe.
Maybe make it inside, but no, definitely. I mean, changing behavior takes a long time. And you just like you mentioned, there are options now that you could have your receipt emailed to you instead of printing out
Yes.
something on paper. You could decline getting a receipt, so that also saves paper as well. And then, like you mentioned, if you bring your own bags, if you decline, someone giving you a bag, that's just another way to reduce the amount of consumption that a person has on a normal basis.
30, 40 years ago, the banks were saying one day it'll be a cashless society. It seems in the last 10 years it's accelerated.
Getting pretty close to that. Absolutely.
Right. And when the grocery stores started taking credit cards, and the McDonald's, you could go for the $5, all of a sudden you go, huh, I actually put three single dollars in my wallet today. I went, wonder what that was about. All right. It's like, and I see that there are a lot of people that don't carry cash anymore, and it works for them, and it's terrific, right, to be able to do that. So, as far as trucks, and you have some trucks a couple that are pink.
Yes, we do.
And that's in honor of?
That's in honor of breast cancer awareness.
Coming up in October again.
Every October we participate in the March. What was it? The March Against Breast Cancer. That's at Marlins Park every year. We have our truck out there on display. We have our pink trucks. Actually, some of our some of our trash truck drivers, once in particular, she drives the pink truck and she's a breast cancer survivor as well. And so we really make a big push to raise money, raise funds for breast cancer awareness in the American Cancer Society every year. Not only in October, but year round, we do our best to bring awareness, because again, our trucks are out on the road, 4 or 5 days a week. They're basically moving billboards. So anything we can do to raise awareness for a worthy cause, like breast cancer awareness, is something.
And you have male and female drivers.
Yes, we do.
Is the county looking for applicants?
Yes. We just closed the position for garbage truck drivers. We had a posting that expired, I believe, on Saturday. But it's going to be an ongoing hiring event. We definitely want people to go to miamidade.gov/jobs. And if you qualify, apply. We have great benefits for our truck drivers, for our garbage truck drivers. It's a 4-day work week. So you work a 4x10, because our service days, again, are Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. We don't collect on Wednesdays. And there are also added benefits as well. County holidays and things of that nature, paid time off. And so if you feel like you are qualified to apply, please go online, apply, and hopefully you can join our team.
So, and there's approximately how many customers in your service area?
So we have about 350,000 residential customers. That includes our recycling customers in South Miami, Miami Beach, who don't receive our garbage service. We have about 340,000 garbage customers within our service area.
It's gigantic when you think about that,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do that and to service people and to take care of them. Some people think, oh, I just put it out and then that's the end of it. Well, there's a whole process, and
Right.
and sort of quickly you pick it up, it goes to one of two or three facilities.
Right. So it goes to we have 3 transfer stations. So just imagine that if you're, the garbage that's in your cart gets picked up, and that truck driver has to drive all the way to our waste to energy plant or all the way to one of our landfills on either end of the county, how much time that would take. So we have 3 strategically placed transfer stations, one in the Northeast, one centrally located in the city of Miami, and the last is out west off of Coral Way. And our truck drivers come, they offload their loads from their routes, and they go back on the road to finish their routes. So it's just a way to make everything more efficient, quicker turnaround time, so our drivers can complete their routes in a timely fashion, and it helps the process move along a lot smoother.
So one last thing before you wrap up.
Sure.
People want to know, when is the county going to have more fuel efficient vehicles?
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, we have some vehicles right now that are using compressed natural gas, which is kind of a new technology. But our director is looking into electric vehicles, electric garbage collection trucks. It's something that he's been pushing for. And the hope is, we have that waste energy facility out in Doral, that one day the garbage that we collect will end up powering the trucks that actually go out and collect the garbage. So it's kind of like a circular system.
So that because you're going to burn it, it's going to create
electricity,
which you're going to charge.
And then we charge the vehicles. That's the hope, that one day that's the plan, that there will be a way for us to show, hey, this truck is powered by the garbage that is collecting.
Certainly in the last 20 years, we've seen these things going on throughout the world, all right, that we never thought that 20 years before that would happen. And that, in the early 90s, what is this internet thing? Maybe it was in the late 80s, it was like there. And then we had this brilliant guy that put a rocket ship up circling the globe in a Tesla, and with an astronaut supposedly. And it's like so there's lots of neat things that are going to go on. I sort of see these pink trucks, electric vehicle, all right? Wow. Certainly that's there, and I hope that we'll all get to see that.
No, absolutely. Our director is very forward thinking. He wants to utilize as much technology as possible. So, we look for it not only to be environmentally conscious, but also to improve the services and make everything run more efficiently. So it's something he really is advocating for, and you'll definitely see it coming forward in the future from our department.
James Richard, thank you very much for the
No
Solid
problem.
Waste Department of Miami-Dade County, folks. Thanks for your time. Have a great day out there.